I'm installing Lineage OS. Hey guys, it's Mikey, welcome back. This is the Samsung Galaxy Tab S6 Lite. It's the first generation, which is released in 2020, well over 6 years ago. They had renewed this series in 2022 and 2024 with newer chips and OS, making this one the grandma of the lineup. Because it's 6 years old, it has become really slow, to the point where I just don't want to use it because it's so slow. Therefore, I will install Lineage OS to give it a second life, hopefully. So Lineage OS is a custom Android OS that is fairly light. This means the OS strips out any bloat applications that is pre-installed in the stock OS, which in the Samsung case is the One UI. It also removes a lot of background processing like analytics that is sent to the corporate to either track you, sell you ads, or give you a personalized experience. Also, it's my first time rooting a device, so I want you guys to come along with me and experience this journey. Before I start doing anything, I want to know the how-tos first. So I will refer to their official website, lineageos.org. The main page basically tells us the quirks and features of the OS. If you scroll down until the end, you will get to the Find Your Device. This will bring you to their wiki page. In their wiki, you can go to their devices tab and you can see that they support a lot of brands and devices. They have Asus, Motorola, Nokia, Razer, Google Pixel phones. They even have AYN Thor supported, which is a handheld gaming device that's really popular right now. And it's one of my wish lists too. I hope I can buy them in the future. Also, you can install Lineage OS for Nintendo Switch. To find your device, you just search it in the top right corner. Galaxy Tab S6 Lite. Also make sure you have the right device, guys, because the Galaxy Tab S6 Lite has 3 versions. So once we are on the wiki, you are on the correct page of your device. I think the wiki will go through the installation and the details thoroughly, so maybe you just have to follow the instructions. And on the first step is the basic requirements that we have to fulfill before we even do some rooting. The first one is make sure your computer has ADB. In their wiki, ADB stands for the Android Debug Bridge, which is a development tool that facilitates communication between an Android and a personal computer. And this communication is usually done over a USB cable, but Wi-Fi connection is also supported. But in my run through, I probably use a USB. So they have a bunch of tutorials for Windows, Mac OS and Linux. So I'm going to follow the Mac OS one because I use a Mac OS. The first things first is to install Homebrew. So what I understand, Homebrew is basically a .pkg manager that lets you install files using the terminal, and it maybe handles the installation itself in the terminal. I'm not really sure how to install it. You just copy this and paste it into your Mac OS terminal, and maybe I just paste the code. I hope it doesn't break my MacBook or something. There you go, it's downloading and installing Homebrew. So Homebrew is installed, so let's just copy that command and paste it here. Android platform tools was successfully installed. Okay, I don't know, maybe it's that easy. Is it safe? I'm sure it's safe. Usually open source applications are generally safe, and Homebrew is a pretty big open source software for MacBooks, so I think you don't have to worry about getting hacked or something. Okay, moving on. I've installed Homebrew. I have installed the Android platform tools. We can go to the next tab, setting up ADB. To use ADB with your device, you'll need to enable developer settings and USB debugging. To enable the developer options, so you can enable USB debug, is to go to settings and about. I already have mine enabled, so I don't need to. If you haven't, you go to your software information and tap your build number several times. Because I have already enabled developer mode, I don't need to. You just go to here and you will find the section of and just enable that. I have to connect this to my MacBook and see if I can enable the ADB on my laptop. If you have USB debugging turned on, you will have these settings that will let you configure on what this USB is for. So you have just USB tethering, transfer images, or you can also set it to charging only. Always allow from this computer and allow. Serial number should be detected in your ADB. ADB is now ready to use with your device. Remove all Google accounts. I have removed all my Google accounts. Installation on your device requires a specific firmware. It requires us to have an Android 13. You can see I have my Android version 13. Pre-install instructions. Connect the device to a Wi-Fi network. It is connected to a Wi-Fi network, so we need to enable OEM unlock. Enable. I will have to turn off this device first. Hold this both and connect it to the USB. We're going to press the up volume longer. Unlock bootloader. The device will reboot and you may now unplug the USB cable. Successfully rebooted. Every time it reboots, it will give us a warning that the bootloader is unlocked. After finishing the setup, we will re-enable the developer mode and turn on the OEM unlock. Tap the build number multiple times. OEM unlocking bootloader. Now it's permanently unlocked. Now we can go to the next step, which is preparing for installation. Since we already unlocked the bootloader, so we're going to install Lineage OS. We're going to download the Mac OS version. If you use another OS, you can find it over here. We have to reconnect our tablet and we have to power off our device again and boot it into download mode. If we go to download mode, we're going to open terminal and just follow the instruction. And we're going to copy this prompt. Command not found. Alright, okay, something isn't working. My bad guys, so you have to unzip this file first to get this one. So then you can run the terminal using this SAM loader. So the next step is actually installing the Lineage OS. It worked. Finally, I got it flashed into Lineage OS recovery mode. It took me several tries. Also your hands, they gotta be fast, man. Look at this, all Mortal Kombat combos you have to follow through. You have to hold the volume down and volume up to go into download mode or fast boot mode. After you flash the device using the SAM loader, you have to manually reboot it by holding the power button and the volume down button, and once the screen goes black, you have to quickly release all the button and press again volume up and power button, because if you don't, you will get into the wrong recovery OS. It's the next day. I finally able to set it up last night, but I was so tired and decided to take a full look at the OS today. This is the home screen. Right off the bat, these are the only application that comes from the OS. Nothing else. Which means it's very light. It's been a few days that I use Lineage OS and it's great. The battery life is really good. I don't have to charge this tablet for days. In the previous OS, I will charge it at least once a day. For speed and responsiveness of the OS, honestly, I couldn't tell the difference. But the previous OS is stopped at Android 13, while this one, Lineage OS, is updated to Android 16. So in my standpoint, it's a big improvement because I thought it will be slower because it's a newer OS, but it's not. There's a cool customization that I like where you can change your battery percentage logo. You have your standard battery logo, you have a circle and a dotted circle. Lineage OS really shines in their liberty and privacy you have on your apps. For individual apps, you could adjust the permission for almost everything like Wi-Fi data and usage. And also there's a setting manage apps if unused. This will remove permissions, delete temporary files, stop notifications, and archive the app. It's very useful for the app that you installed and you forgot about. Also, some of the apps are really small. You can compare it. The calculator app in Pixel is 7 megabytes, while in Lineage OS it's 1.4 megabytes. The camera is 400, and this one is 4 megabytes. And there's just a lot of diagnostic tools and analytics stuff. Another really neat feature of this OS is that you can create multiple users on the same tablet. So I can separate my main user profile, which I install a lot of free and open source software applications, or usually it's called FOSS, and my social user, which houses all my social media applications. This user profile features treats each user as its own phone, so it's like you have two different tablets inside of one. Also, a really important note to take, this OS doesn't have any Google services. That means no Play Store and no tracking or analytics. And that also means some apps from the Play Store won't work properly. This is actually a great feature if you're someone that's trying to get away from Google, or usually it's called de-Googling, but it's not really recommended if you majorly work in social media like YouTube or Instagram or TikTok. So my initial goal to install Lineage OS is just purely to revive this 6-year-old device, since the software is no longer supported. In this case, it's better to install Lineage OS because unsupported device tends to be more vulnerable in their privacy and security. In my opinion, I don't really recommend doing this in your main phone, because most of the stuff that I do in Lineage OS is just installing a free application or installing FOSS and sideloading apps, which is still doable in most Android phones without unlocking the bootloader. And that's probably my thoughts on Lineage OS. It's been really fun. I really do enjoy tinkering with stuff and devices and see what I can do with them. If you guys are interested in free and open source software application, please do let me know. Maybe I could share my favorites. Also, I do have a plan on installing Graphene OS on my Pixel 7, but maybe that's for future project. And I also use this tablet to read my script better. Thank you very much for watching. If you like it, give a thumbs up and subscribe. See you in the next video. Bye.